Okay, looks like we are absolutely live. And Laura, you ready to get nuts?
Yeah, let's go nuts.
Okay, let's do it. On today's episode of Playing Small is Cancelled, we have a very exclusive treat. She's a multifaceted and brilliant entrepreneur, award-winning copywriting expert, and a best-selling author, just to name a few. She's the founder of Talking Shrimp and the co-creator of The Copy Cure, where she helps entrepreneurs find the perfect words to express and sell what they do in a way that gets them paid to be unapologetically themselves. Big facts. From working with major names like Marie Forleo and Amy Porterfield to crafting words for huge networks like NBC, Bravo, HBO, and more. She's just a juggernaut in the world of copy and marketing and a fantastic human being. Please welcome the authentic and clever, the powerful and trailblazing Laura Belgray. How you
Well,
doing,
thank
Laura?
you so much. Good. I like all those descriptors. I'll take them all. Thank you.
Good, good. I'm super pumped did good by you. We are having a great chat before we went live and so forth. And our audience is in for such a treat today. I love your work. It's so impactful. It's very, very unique. And I just couldn't be more excited for today. But before we dive in, I have a little icebreaker for you. Are you ready for
Uh-oh.
me?
Okay, yeah, I think.
What does it mean for you to live an authentic life?
Oh, for me, it means being fully self-expressed, not altering my voice, my tone, what I have to say to please anybody, and just doing things on my terms and not the way I'm quote supposed to.
Beautiful. Beautiful. It probably took me later in life than you to get to that point, and it's been the most beautiful, freeing, and liberating thing. I'm wondering, were you always that way, or is that something you had to evolve into?
I would say that I've always been me. But I think that having an online business where basically I have to express myself constantly, content, etc., promotion. It's a great exercise in being myself, in being authentic. Because if you don't have that, like before all that, you're not really required to express yourself out loud in public in that way for, hundreds, thousands, however many strangers. So I think that it's amplified by the life that I lead right now.
So beautiful. And it's kind of the same. I reinvented myself in the pandemic after spending 13 years on Wall Street and just becoming really misaligned and finally
Hmm.
starting what I love to do, which is educate, teach, speak on personal development and finding my voice as well. And, before we kind of made a joke before we hopped on about ChatGPT, and obviously there's a lot of perks to that, but it's also so obvious to me when people use that to create their content. And one of the really cool things about being super authentic is you're always going to sound so much different than what most people are putting out right now.
Right. So I consider it an advantage almost that it now exists because I have, I think, an extra edge, and I can stand out extra now that so many people are using it as a crutch to express themselves and their ideas and all sound like Chat GPT. So those of us who refuse to are the ones who stand out.
To be honest with you, that was like a major breakthrough. I never heard it articulate. That's a total shift in consciousness. Most people think of ChatGPT an advantage because of AI and what it could do, but you think about it as an advantage because now it really separates who's being unique and authentic compared to everyone else who's not.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have no objection to using it for all different purposes as a thought starter. I've been using AI for years and years in the form of, say, like my favorite kind of souped up thesaurus website, which is called onelook.com. That's AI. Like, find me, words that relate to party and start with an F. You can use it all different ways. That's AI. I love using it for things like that. And you want to use it to like help you organize. I actually haven't leveraged it in all the ways I probably could, but using it to create your message, to write for you, you're just gonna, the consequences are going to be that you don't stand out or that that you jump out as using Chat GPT and sound like everybody else and sound fake. So yeah.
Touche. Beautifully said. This is awesome. I feel very connected to you. Let's talk about some of the juicy stuff that you love to talk about, and you might be the best in the world at this. Kind of a general question. Maybe you can explain how one of the ways that you do it, and that is, how does one get paid to be themselves?
Yeah, well, I think that the key to getting paid to be yourself is making your business or your work output a full expression of your personality in terms of the words you use and the ideas you express. That is how you come as close as possible to being paid to be you, which, by the way, is not the same as getting paid to exist. I have looked for the answer to that. That would be next level. Like, I sit around, I watch Real Housewives, and then a check comes and someone says, keep up the good work. That would be getting paid to exist, or getting a paycheck every time you eat lunch. But so, so getting paid to be you requires this thing called value, that creating something that somebody is willing to pay for, that provides value to them. So that's the only missing key.
Yeah, I love it. And a lot of people think when they hear stuff like this, well, I'm not really an expert or anything, or who's going to want to listen to me? These are some of the typical limiting beliefs. But everybody can teach someone in something and get paid to be themselves if they're just even a little bit further ahead than someone that's looking to accumulate that knowledge, right?
Absolutely. It's very easy to think that what we know that feels basic to us is basic to everybody else, but that is not true, especially if you're somebody who's been studying copywriting or marketing or any topic that you dream about teaching or coaching on, or having a business providing. If you've been studying that, which we tend to do, entrepreneurs especially tend to be obsessive and steep ourselves in that knowledge. Very easy to think everything I know is so basic because you hear it over and over and you've been saying it over and over, when meanwhile there are virgins out there to what you do and what you have to say who've never heard it before, and it's going to blow their minds. So you have to remember that. I mean, I've seen things about, say, in design, the rule of three, which to any designer is like, yeah, everybody knows that. And when I heard it, I was like, oh, I never knew that. So you have to remember that most people out there don't know what you know.
Yeah, you're awesome. So there's that.
Thank
Um,
you.
I was looking at some of your posts, which I encourage everybody to give you a follow and check out what we have going on immediately. And I saw that you were wrapping up one of your highly successful business and copywriting masterminds, and you compared it to like a show, and it just really it connected with me. Like where sometimes a show run its course, like oh they probably could have ended a season earlier, but this has been so successful for you. I'm wondering if that feeling was bittersweet for you.
Yes, so what you're talking about is Shrimp Club, which I've been running since 2019. It's now in its seventh season. And as I was, and it is currently running, so I haven't wrapped it up yet, but I announced when I was filling it this time that this was going to be the last season of it, the last round. And that is what I said. It's like a great series. Like, why take something off the air? Why discontinue something when it works, when it's great, when people love it, when people want more of it? And I just did feel like it is the same as whatever is your favorite TV show, unless it's like Grey's Anatomy. Uh, after six or seven seasons, you get a series finale of the final season, because it has completed its arc. It has come to its conclusion. And I say, maybe sometimes end things when they are awesome. And that said, I've gotten so many messages from people saying, "Oh my God, I can't believe it's your last. Is it really, really your last round? Because I want in for next year." And we'll see if I'm feeling reinvigorated about it by that time next year, and if enough people have begged to be in it, so I don't have to go through the rigmarole of like promoting it, filling it, et cetera, because that's what starts to feel like a drag, really. Then who knows? Maybe we'll do an extra season, like The Sopranos did, and Breaking Bad. I mean, it was really an extra half season, but it was very satisfying.
I think that's very bold and courageous, and I love it. It's very easy to just keep going when things are working, but also to leave on a high. And if you're not as connected to it, I think that takes courage. I don't see that often enough, quite frankly. And I'm just curious because I'm a movie and a TV guy. You mentioned a couple great shows right there. Is there a specific show that you had in mind that maybe ran its course and then went an extra season and it maybe left a bad taste in your mouth?
Hmm. Really, although I will say that Handmaid's Tale, I've been a loyal fan. I've watched every episode of every season, but it began to feel like a drag. Like,
Mm.
okay, I'm just gonna muscle through this episode
Yep.
instead of really enjoying it. It's like I didn't want it to end yet, but it probably should have.
Yeah. Understood. You don't happen to watch the show Stranger Things, do you?
Oh, I watched I watched season one and thought it was great, and then I found myself not obsessed enough to keep watching it, but I know it has such a loyal, like, cult following.
Yeah.
People love it.
It's a good one. What last one? How about Game of Thrones?
Okay, so this is where, and I use Game of Thrones as an example all the time and something else that I talk about. I could not, for the life of me, get into Game of Thrones, and I kept on trying. I watched the first season or like maybe 5 or 6 episodes of it a few times and just couldn't. I kept starting it again and and I could not get into it. I'm like, do I have a chip missing? Because clearly there's something right about this show that means, I mean, it's HBO's highest rated of all time, right? And that says a lot because HBO's track record of putting out great shows is, I think, beyond compare. So it's like, I guess it's me. I'm the problem. It's me. That's a no to Game of Thrones, but I wish I loved it.
Interesting. Well, I appreciate the authenticity. If you're not connecting with it, you're not connecting with it.
Yeah, and trust me, I live for a show that I'm obsessed with. I want to be obsessed. I want it to ruin my life while I'm watching it. Like, okay, especially when I'm rewatching it. Like, I can't talk to anybody while I'm going through this. I rewatched The Sopranos
Classic.
recently, and I was like, I let everything fall through the cracks. Like, I'll get back to real life and back to business once I'm done watching The Sopranos. I just couldn't think or talk about anything else.
Sopranos is a good one. I think I ran that back maybe right in the beginning of the pandemic, and it was so good, timeless.
It is. It is. And I think if it was like in 2020 that you watched it, I'm going to venture to say it would hold up now. Like it would be fresh to you now if you watched it again, like 3 or 4 years later.
I
It's
appreciate
time. You're ready.
Okay, fair enough. Tough Titties, your book,
Tough titties right
iconic.
behind me. No,
Uh,
that way. It was a mirror image, so I can never figure out which way to point it. There it is.
First of all, the book is unbelievable. It's so authentic. It's so unique. Bold title, but also very on brand. I'm wondering what was the inspiration for the book in the first place?
Well, I always wanted to write a book. I always wanted some outlet to just tell my stories beyond blogging or beyond my emails, like a true body of work, a true, something all bound and published, that that held all the stories that I love to tell and told my life. And I'd say the format, like the form of writing that inspired me, essay, like personal essay, humor essay, was David Sedaris. He was the first one probably first nonfiction book I read that I loved and couldn't put down. And it's like, oh, I didn't know you could write like this because I didn't have an idea for a novel, say. And that to me, that was the only choice. And so I always knew I wanted to write that kind of book, a book of personal essays that formed a memoir. So it's a memoir and essays. And so I worked on it for off and on for years and years. I remember announcing like 20 years ago at someone's birthday party that I was writing a book. Of course I didn't. So it wasn't until this last, I'd say 5 years ago, that I really hit it hard and said, I have to have this, I have to finish this book. I have to write it before I wanted to finish it by the time I was 50. I almost made it. I got it published I got the book deal at age 50. So, but The
How are you 50
inspiration.
if you look younger than me?
Thank you. I'm not 50. I'm turning 55 next week. So bless your heart.
First of all, that is
And
very young in the grand schemes of life, but you look a lot younger.
thank you. I agree. So my feeling, just a quick detour, my feeling about age is that if you are an age where if you died, people would say, "Oh my gosh, they died so young," then you're young, then you're not old. And
Oh,
55 qualifies. People would be like, "How did she die so young?" So
I like it.
not old yet. Anyway, what I was going to say about I was going to say that the inspiration for the title and the theme came as I was writing the book. I had no idea what it was going to be, and I really struggled with that. I was like, I'm telling this story and this story and this story, but what is it? What is this book? What does it mean? What is the theme? And my like working title that I never used, but that was in my head was New Dork City, because it was just dork stories about growing up in New York and coming of age in the 80s, 90s, early aughts. And then one day I found myself saying something that I say all the time, which was tough titties. And when it came out of my mouth, I was like, oh my gosh, that's the name of my book. Because first of all, I feel like it's a throwback kind of I feel it's a very 80s saying. I mean, we used to say it when I was a kid. Yeah, tough titties, meaning like too bad. And it's my answer to you should do it this way. So and so thinks this. So and so thinks you should do this. And my answer is always, yeah, tough titties. So so it has that vintage feel, but also that sorry, not sorry, non-apology for living life the way I want to live it. And the subtitle is On Living Your Best Life When You're the Effing Worst. And I felt like that was a current running throughout.
I love it. And you also say that you're a late bloomer. Is that right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, from getting published at my book came out when I was age 53. That's way later than most authors write their first book. Some get started later, but I also, I was born 5 days late. I didn't try yoga and then I dropped it till 2017. I moved out of my parents' house at age 26, which at the time was really late. I know now, like Gen Z is sticking around at mom and dad's, but back then it was like, what are you doing? You're still living with your parents. I got my driver's license after everybody else I knew, and then unlearned to drive later in life. I no longer drive, but just thing after thing after thing. I have so many examples of doing things later and on my own timeline than
Yeah.
anybody else. And after I got married at 37, again, at the time, fairly late, everybody was waiting, and had kids at age never. So,
I love you. I would consider myself a late bloomer too. I just got married a month and a half ago at 39, and
yeah, there you go.
yeah, and all your race, your pace, and and one thing that you're still a late bloomer on is watching GOT in its entirety. But maybe one day you'll conquer Game of Thrones. But I love it, and I think so many people connect with that concept and that idea because and I just reinvented myself at 35, which you can argue is very late to reinvent yourself, or maybe young, putting it all together, depending upon who you ask.
Yeah.
And we launched our book to the reinvention formula. And I see that a lot of people begin to feel out of alignment or they feel called to do something more meaningful with their life. And oftentimes they think that it's too late or it's too old. And one of the many things that you help project or portray is that it's never too late
Yeah.
to change or to evolve, expand, or to become more authentic, or everything in between. And I think it's very helpful. So thank you for doing that.
Oh, thank you for saying so. Yeah, I really do believe that, especially with writing, with a lot or anything with business, it really is never too late, unless you're talking about being an Olympic gymnast, and then you might be past your prime at a certain age.
Fair enough.
But yeah, but anything else that doesn't require that agility and doing back bends, I think,
Yeah.
I think it's you've got your whole life.
Yeah. Before a couple more things before we land the plane, the book launch for me that was a full-time job in itself, and a lot went into it. And I saw you posting about a lot of the misconception and things that worked, maybe things that didn't. How was that whole season for you in general?
It was quite intense. It was a grind.
Mm.
I I position myself as an unapologetic lazy person, but I feel like I operate on a binary. It's either lazy or completely obsessed. And when it came to my book, I was completely obsessed. I really wanted it to succeed. I wanted so much from it. And I wanted to give it every chance that it had to be a success. So I was into like, first of all, the writing of it, and once I had the book deal and completing the manuscript and all that, that was intense, especially because I procrastinate and do things on a very short timeline. But then when it came to promoting it, when it was coming out, getting the pre-sales, like the pre-orders are everything for a book if it's traditionally published. And say you want to get on a list. And so doing that, emailing my list, like emailing about it constantly, posting about it every chance I had. Anytime I had an idea, like, oh, hey, this could connect to my book, or I could pitch this to a magazine. This connects to my book. Everything that I could do, I did. And I woke up every single morning until I would say 3 months after it was published, thinking, what do I have to do for my book today? It took that long to stop waking up with that in my head. So I was obsessive, probably uncomfortably so. And but I'm glad that I threw everything at it.
Yeah, you'll never regret that. And that
No.
you showcased your desire there, spirituality wise, and also
Yeah.
just leaving no stone unturned. Look, you did a really good job with it, and you wanted it to reach a lot more people so that you can help a lot more people. And then obviously that would help the brand and all that stuff. And I think that's just I remember hearing this quote somewhere: do a thing, do it well, right? If you're
Mm.
going to do it, don't just be interested, be committed. And obviously the byproduct speaks for itself. So great job on that.
Thank you. Thank you. I will say as a counterpoint to that, sometimes good enough is good enough. I mean, if you really want something, do it well. If you really want to go for it, go for it. But when it comes to just like creating something that you're afraid to create or put out there because it won't be perfect, sometimes you have to say good enough is good enough and give it that B minus effort.
100%. I believe we should always give ourselves permission to be less than perfect when showing up and trying something new.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But with
Yeah.
like a big grand goal or a milestone that you're looking to hit, you reverse engineered, I would say leave no stone unturned. But you're
Yeah.
absolutely right. I agree. In other situations, don't wait till it's perfect. Just get
Right.
in arena. And sometimes clarity follows action.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I don't think action ever follows clarity. I mean, it can. You get clear on something and that makes you want to take action, but I think that it is action that creates the clarity. You can I rarely ever find clarity from just thinking. What
Yeah.
should I do? What should I do? What do I want to do? What should I create? What should I do next? That never turns up an answer. It's taking some kind of action that brings that.
And I wish more people understood that because a lot of people, I think, aren't living the life they truly desire because they're waiting for it to be perfect or to have the exact clarity to start. When the irony is once you just start, if it's not the thing, it'll probably be the thing that leads to a thing, or it'll introduce you to someone, or a download will come through.
Agreed, 100%.
Yeah. How much is psychology when it comes to making people really drawn to something? You're the best at like writing stuff and grab people's attention. How much of that is psychology?
Well, it depends if you are trying to get them to buy something or trying to get them to enjoy, consume, read something. Sometimes it's both. Those things are merged. But with my writing, the way I find that I draw people in is being true, by being truthful, by being what we call authentic, by being myself in the way I express myself, because that's always magnetic. Authenticity is always magnetic. People will always be drawn to details that ring true, things that are so specific, they're universal. And that's the way that I try to write. And when it comes to making an offer, trying to get somebody to buy, then I'm thinking, what does this person want? What is going to seed their desire? What's going to speak to what they want in life or right now, or from what I'm offering? What is their objection? What are they afraid of? Do they believe in themselves? You're thinking about all those things, especially if you're selling a course, which is what I mostly sell. Do they think it will work for them? Do they think it won't work for them? Is that one of their objections? What are the results they really want that this provides? And what kind of story can I tell about that that's going to make them light up and say, "Oh, I want that." So that's psychology.
Beautiful. Yeah. And putting yourself in their position already, like what are their inevitable objectives or what are they really feeling right now, and being able to hit that. And I know like sometimes marketing gets like a bad rap, like it could be manipulative, but if you can really connect with someone and understand what they're struggling with, then you can present it in a way that they understand, and then once they get involved, it's a win-win for everybody.
Yes. I think that selling and promoting yourself, or promoting what you have to promote, and making it clear how it will help somebody, or bring them pleasure or entertainment, whatever it is, that is a gift. And if you don't do everything you can to, get the right people to say yes and to light up and see that this is for them, then you're denying them of that experience.
Yeah. When it comes to like email marketing stuff like that, are there some no-nos that you see that often are very unproductive?
Well, lying. um, Presenting fake results. I mean, I work a lot in the kind of how to make more money in the field of success. And my part of it is helping people write in a way, particularly emails, that will make them more money. And so in this arena, I see a lot of people generating what are clearly fake results about themselves, saying like, look how much I made, or you know i I have an $8 million company thanks to this. And what does $8 million mean? Does it mean you made $8 million over a lifetime? Does it mean you've helped, 1,000 other people to generate $8 million over 10 years? Like, what does that mean? So I find a lot of that sus.
Beautifully said. Yeah. Okay. This is amazing. Before we wrap up, I wanted to ask you, what are you personally most excited about right now? How can our community support? I know that you have an emails that sell class, which is coming up. Tell us more.
Yeah. Okay. So I do have an emails that sell class coming up. It's based on what I'm really excited about was I just spoke at this event, Alex Catoni's event in Vancouver. It was her first live event, and it was called Posse Fest. Alex Catoni is famous for Copy Posse, which is her company and community. And I delivered a talk there about emails that sell, and it went so well. I mean, it's kind of my signature talk, but it just got such a great reception, such a great response. People saying it blew their minds. I was like, you know what? I am going to offer this as a class online a week from now. And is today Wednesday? No, today's
Thursday.
Thursday. So it's a week from yesterday. So next Wednesday, October 30th, which happens to be my birthday. And
Happy
it's
early
like, yeah, I
birthday.
just thank you. I just want to do this. And I have done it once before, um, like a few months ago, but with no replay. And a lot of people were mad about that. So this time I'm going to offer a replay and all that.
And how can people sign up?
They can go to talkingshrimp.com. I should have created a pretty link for this in
That's okay. We're,
advance.
we're going to put it all in the show notes anyway.
Okay, great. If I type it into the chat, all right, let's just see, talkingshrimp.com/webinar dash emails dash that dash sell. So awkward. And I've been meaning to change the URL. I did a slap shit up, what we call in Shrimp Club slap shit up. And I slapped up this class and the page. So that's the URL for now.
I love it. And we'll have the team put it all in the show notes and so forth. Um, Before we hop off, maybe a little fun, a little rapid fire, 1 or 2 word answers. You ready to get weird?
We'll see.
Your favorite movie?
Escargot.
Classic. Okay. Your favorite guilty pleasure?
I have no guilty pleasures.
Because
I
they're
really don't. I might say Real Housewives, but I don't feel guilty about it. I only feel guilty about spending my time on something that's not bringing me pleasure. So no guilty pleasure.
best answer ever to that question. Your favorite book?
My favorite book currently, Demon Copperhead.
Not familiar. Good one?
So good. So good. That is the high that I've been chasing for last 2 years, I think.
Understood. Okay. Your last meal on earth would be?
Would be spaghetti pomodoro, actually spaghettini pomodoro with basil and ice cream for dessert.
Sounds like something Tony Soprano would have.
Yeah.
That's great.
He would
Oh.
have it cold out of the fridge, but yeah.
He would in his bathrobe.
Yeah, with a rigatone.
Carmela, get it, right?
Yeah, calm.
Okay, two more. Your favorite morning ritual essential?
Walking. I walk every morning, like 2 or 3 miles, and I call it making the rounds. So
Beautiful.
I have a circuit that I do that I like every
I might
morning.
bump into you now because I run in the mornings. I'm actually training for the New York City Marathon, which should be a great day in about 10 days.
Oh, wow. How
Yeah,
exciting. That's
yeah,
awesome.
I'm
Yeah.
pumped. Yeah, thank you. And last but not least, very deep stuff. Your favorite musician?
Favorite musician? I'm gonna say De La Soul.
Beautiful.
I'm old school.
I am too. I'm an old soul. Well, you nailed those. And this was
Thanks.
unbelievable. I can't wait to connect with you after. Thank you so much, Laura, for stopping by today and dropping these priceless, juicy nuggets.
Thank you, Craig. It's been a pleasure.
This was great. Hang out for 1 sec.